Oompa loompa doopity dee. If you are wise, you'll listen to me. What do you do when your neighbor is a neo-Nazi? By Sarah Sidner, CNN, from August 10th, 2018. I totally butchered that song at the beginning. That was supposed to be a joke, by the way. It was really bad. Let's go ahead and close out of that. This article. I'm not going to play the video. I haven't even watched the video. I just saw the headline for this article, and I'm going to go ahead and read it, and I'm going to talk about it. What do you do when your neighbor is a neo-Nazi? And right off the bat, the video, the first frame is a picture of a bearded guy in what appears to be a redneck-looking area. You can see in the background, he's got one of the flags. He's got a flaming swastika on his shirt that says white. This is what CNN wants you to think the entire right is. This is everyone on the right side of the political compass. Yeah, this is them. Every single one of them. Every one of them looks like this. Swastika wearing man. This is my country. Okay. Gonna close out of that too. Lots of little banners and stuff. So this is from Pennsylvania. Daniel Burnside painted a huge swastika on his home. His wood shop dons Nazi carvings and a Nazi flag. A scarecrow made to resemble Adolf Hitler keeps watching his yard. Okay, that's kind of funny actually. Just to clarify, I'm not a Nazi. I'm not a neo-Nazi either. It all sits atop a hill in a small Rust Belt town, a beacon of hate greeting anyone who drives through. Burnside says he's fighting a culture war. The last 20 years, my country has turned into a cesspool. Garbage. That is true, although I think it's been going on longer than 20 years. The UN's taken over. Our cities aren't American anymore. It's true. But it says by that he means they're not white. Probably based on just the image of this guy, I wouldn't be surprised if that is what he meant. But they're kind of insinuating here that this is what, all people mean if they say this. That's not true. It's literally not true because a lot of major cities are full of illegal immigrants, and they are literally not American citizens, therefore they are not American anymore. Which is completely true. So what he's saying, I think is true. And can't act like it's not. They let in tons of illegals and refugees. They're really not American. They're foreigners. In the literal sense. What he's insinuating, though, that's a whole nother story. We're staring down the barrel of a gun here in white America. The 42-year-old father said, oh, he's a father. There's still 193 million white Americans. Yes, the vast majority of them are in their 60s and 70s, will be in the ground in the next 20 years, and therefore we have the possibility of becoming a minority in our own country. That is completely true what he said, though. I mean, most white Americans are older now, and in the next 20 years, they'll be dead. And if you look at the statistics, we are on a path to for whites becoming the racial minority. It's not that surprising, and I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to protect your identity and wanting to stay the majority. I mean, I'd feel a little less for him if, people weren't trying their hardest to push multiculturalism and globalism, which suppresses anyone's identity if they are white or if they are male, especially if they're both. then you're not allowed to be a person. Your humanity is basically taken away, which is, I'm not comparing this to the Holocaust, but that's how it started. Actually, I am comparing it to it, because that is how it started, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen or that I see this happening, but those in power could definitely take it away to white genocide. And that's the fear that a lot of these people have that are becoming, white supremacists and all this stuff. They're they're doing that as pushback because they think that a white genocide is going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. At least not in the near future or anytime in, probably not. Well, anybody that's alive now is alive. But, for example, if you look at South Africa, the blacks are the majority there, and there is definitely hints of a coming white genocide there with the displacement camps and stuff that they set up for themselves, keep in mind. But I'm not going to go into that. So yeah, already Burnside has been marginalized by residents of this Pennsylvania town. Though he extols Donald Trump, whom 79.5% of voters here in Potter County chose for president in 2016, he's drawn the ire of his neighbors in, I don't know how to pronounce that, who say his intense racism doesn't reflect their values and has generated unwanted attention, angst, and fear. Now, I don't see a whole lot wrong with this. I mean, I don't see a whole lot wrong with this paragraph. Really, but I mean, he is allowed to say what he wants. Legally, though, you could argue hate speech, but so far what they've described on this article has not been hate whatsoever. Nothing about it has been, hate or fear or angst. Yeah. The part where it says, his intense racism doesn't reflect their values, that kind of sounds like they're going in the direction here of, he doesn't conform with our ideas and therefore we need to kick him out, but that's just the direction it sounds like they're going. I think racism is wrong. I think nobody should be racist. I think that it's wrong. Like I said, I'm not racist. I think that all races are equal. I don't think all cultures are equal, though. And I think that's where people get it confused, and that's when people start becoming racist, is when they get those two things confused. Now, I don't know the guy. Based on the swastika and the fact that he is a real neo-Nazi, it seems like he's probably racist and anti-Semitic, but for most people that get grouped in with people like this, they're not racist. After a story in the Washington Post exposed Burnside's bluster, death threats arrived online, taking aim at the town at large. But for all his fuming, Burnside hasn't broken any laws. A top elected leader in the area said leaving little officials can do to remove the target of their collective backlash. Now, this makes it sound like the goal here that everybody wants is to remove him from the town, which they are not able to do. They should not be able to do that because that is wrong. Now, I really think that it's also wrong that the Washington Post would talk about any person in specific like this. I think it's wrong that CNN is doing this because all they're doing is encouraging this. Indirectly, though, they articles like this are the cause of that, of people attacking a town. But at the same time, instead of addressing the death threats and the people making them directly, they are still addressing the people receiving the death threats and acting as if the problem is that he lives there. As if he should not have anywhere to live. Basically saying, kick him out of the town. Well, if he shouldn't be allowed to go anywhere, where is he going to go? Nowhere. They want him gone. And I don't see anything wrong with wanting that, but actually proposing that as an idea and hoping for it to happen and trying to force it to happen is a bad thing. People were posting things like, we're going to bomb this place. Borough Council President Roy Hunt said, He's just one guy in this town. We don't even want him here, but we can not legally do anything about that. That is correct. He's disrupting the peace, a lifelong resident Carm Barker said, but since we have no ordinance against that yet, he gets away with it, and we live in fear. He has not done anything illegal, unless you are very strict on hate speech, even though there is no real legal definition for that would allow for him to be arrested or anything. So he's allowed to do this. He's allowed to do what he wants. He's allowed to say what he wants and think what he wants. And I have not watched the video, but so far it doesn't seem like he's incited any direct violence. Like I said, I have not watched the video, so if you want to, feel free to correct me. But based on this article, he has not done anything wrong. It is the people threatening it that are doing wrong things. And those people should get in trouble. And it's those people that are living in fear should not have to live in fear, but it is not the guy's fault. And I know it sounds bad that I'm defending him. I'm defending his rights. Because if you take his rights away, who's to say you can't take my rights away, for example, or anybody else's rights? I already off the bat do not like this guy. But his rights are important because everybody else's rights are important. And what was the next one? So this guy feeds off that stuff. Burnside says he doesn't care at all about scaring his neighbors or hurting the town's reputation. His desire for attention. He said he sometimes dresses his 8 children in Nazi regalia so his neighbors can see them. Seems to outstrip almost everything except his fear of the nation's changing demographics. So this is where I start to agree with this, I guess, which is weird. I never really agree with this stuff, but I don't think he should be allowed to, I mean, I guess technically he should be allowed to, but I think it's wrong for anyone to use their kid for politics or attention, and I think it's abusive. And I don't think that anyone should, use their kids for any type of political movement or should brainwash their kids in that type of way. But the left is doing it too. It's not just the right. There are videos all over the place where people use children and get them to say political things. There's that channel that uses children, makes them cuss and say things that are offensive, but not considered offensive at the same time by the left. And then they use that for political gain, like these children support it. Think of the children, right? And then they'll use that. And this guy's doing the same thing, except openly expressing why he's doing it. But I still think it's wrong. Rural America spoke up when they elected Trump, he said. Rural America. Burnside seems to disregard the fact that of the 713 residents the U.S. Census recently estimated live in the area. Sorry, I'm still sick. 705 of them, or 98.9%, are white. Or that, at last count, 250 million Americans, far more than he even boasts, described themselves as white. Now, it's kind of weird that they say described themselves as white, and I'm not going to go to this link, but it seems it's a census website. It's the census website. But that's just his area. That's not, everywhere else. And that's only 713 residents. And like I said, it's just one area. A large amount of the U.S. is becoming minorities, and the population that is white is drastically decreasing. And in the foreseeable future, according to statistics, we will become the minority. And that's just, citizens, like real U.S. legal citizens, not counting the large amount of illegal immigrants that live throughout the United States. Meantime, it's not Jews whom Burnside hates, but capitalist Jews. Now, see right here, this is where he's not right-wing. He might be racist, but that doesn't make him right-wing. he is already, he's a neo-Nazi. And as I explained in another video I may or may not post, I explained why Nazis are socialists. Nazis are socialists. They are definitely socialists, despite what Snopes tells you. They are definitely socialists. I just said snowcialists almost. And so far, based on that sentence, he appears to be also socialist because the Nazis were socialists, and that sparked anti-Semitism was the capitalism and how Jews were very capitalistic and were bankers and stuff, and Hitler didn't like that, and so when he joined the movement and it grew in popularity, that was a big focus. Without acknowledging the president's capitalist agenda, including imposing stiff tariffs on long U.S. trade partners, and that kind of annoys me that they put the tariffs thing under there, because that is interfering with economics. And government interference with economics is straying further and further away from, or is straying away from capitalism and closer towards socialism. It's not socialism itself, but it is kind of a tactic. If you were, for example, to follow laissez-faire policies, which are probably the most capitalistic things you can think of, it's pure, raw capitalism. Basically, it's close, it's generalizing it, but if you were to follow that, tariffs would not exist. So, yeah. Go ahead and scroll down. Extreme views didn't always dominate Burnside's character, said Ivan Lemon, I don't know, a resident of... He was a smart kid in school. He seemed to get along with folks. The Nazi stuff began more than 3 years ago. Well, no one is quite sure why, and everyone insists blame lies squarely on Burnside. Trump's rhetoric hasn't helped. Earlier on in the article, I thought they were talking about how he didn't support Trump, but I guess he does. And now, I guess he does, based on this, happen to support Trump. But I think he severely misunderstands Trump, because Trump is not a white supremacist, and he has not said anything that would fuel a white supremacist or neo-Nazi, because he's not one himself, and he does not hold views that tend to be the same or shared with neo-Nazis, other than simple stuff that, like, for example, tariffs. Because Trump is not a libertarian. He is a Republican, so he is not full-on, free market supporting and everything. And then there's, who does he think he is? Burnside, in yet another contradiction, also denies the Holocaust, but claims his grandfather fought in World War II and witnessed concentration camps. Now, I haven't watched the video, and I don't know if this is in there, but right away this seems out of context. But I don't know. He could have said that, and if he did directly say that, that is incredibly stupid of him. The false assertion hits close to home for Barker, Burnside's neighbor, who said his racist views dishonor the legacy of her own grandfather and all other World War II veterans who fought the Nazis, including some who are buried in the town cemetery. For now, as ever, Burnside rants by day and fires bullets by night to draw notice to his cause. Now, that's a little much. Don't know how legal or allowed that is in his area. And though at least one supporter said he'd do anything for his neo-Nazi neighbor, most people around here try to shut him out. I usually put my book down at 9, and I'm in La La Land when the gunshots go off. That's Moggy, I don't know how to say his name, said, It's exhausting. I'm a little aged. If I disagree with you, I don't go up and hit you in the face, Hunt, the council president added. I just go about with my business and ignore you, and that's what we have done here. Just because we tolerate him doesn't mean he is welcome here. I completely agree with that. I mean, he's allowed to express his views. I don't think that somebody in that position should say something like that was near the end, but I guess it's a little warranted. And I just mean the last sentence right there. I agree with this paragraph, though. I agree with the council president. He is completely right in this situation. That is legally what you should do, and morally it makes sense. For others, though, it can be too much to bear. Yeah. We're good people, and he's stepping on us. He is not stepping on you. He's stepping on all of us. You know, we are all one tribe. And who does he think he is? That is a terrible viewpoint, because actually I think it's kind of funny and ironic, because the Nazis were fascists. And we are all one tribe, and who does he think he is kind of a fascist way of thinking, because that is a very, you have to conform. And if you don't conform and you don't agree with all of us, you're disrupting the peace, and you're not allowed here. And we're going to push you out and treat you like you're not a human being. And that is very fascist. And then it's done, and it says CNN's Brian Vitagil, I don't know how to say that, contributed to this report. And that's really it. If you want to check out this article, feel free. Here is the URL up in the top left corner. It's on CNN, unsurprisingly. And yeah, that's it.